So the new phones now, you cannot even see that dot because it's super small. So that dot is called a pixel. So if you put one dot alone, that's 1 pixel, all right? If you do a square by like 2 pixels by 2 pixels, which is total of 4, right? Then you have, this is called 4 pixel image, okay, which is super tiny. Now, when we are talking about images that are 1000 pixel by 2000 pixel, right? Which is what we usually shoot. So when you calculate it, it's 2000 by 1000, right? Isn't it that how we calculate, like the width by the height? So then you will end up with 2 million pixel, right? Now 2 million is too much on the tongue to say. So we started using the term 2 megapixel. It sounds cooler, 2 megapixel. So with time, at the beginning when they started, the old phones in the beginning of the 2000s, it used to say, we have 1 million pixel camera, because it's not cool to say 1 megapixel. It's not enough. It's like too low. So they started having more and more. So now when we have a bigger image, which is, let's say, 4,000 pixels, 4,000 dots by 2,000, how many megapixels is that? 4 by 2. 8 megapixels, yes, or 8 million pixels. So then we have the 8 megapixel. Now, some manufacturers, they started saying, well, if I can do it better, let me make it bigger at least. So they started playing with the numbers. Now, do I really need that much of megapixel? Not necessarily. Now, for example, if I need to print it on a normal paper, 8 to 12 megapixel is enough. Now, if I start wanting to print on a huge billboard, then I start needing 25, 30, or 50 megapixel. Now, if I'm printing it on a billboard the size of a building, this is where I need 80 and 100 and 120 megapixel. Now, do I necessarily, if I have a camera that is 120 megapixel, does it make me a better photographer? Not really. Now, when you put the pixel on your phone, if you want these photos to be watched only on your phone, right, or on a laptop screen, you cannot see anything more than 8 megapixel. That's why, for example, iPhones, at some point, they stick with 8 megapixel and they didn't change it. Although other manufacturers saying, oh, I have 20, I have 30. No one cared. Because no matter how much you zoom, you're not going to zoom 20 times to see like the inside of your brains from it. You just maybe, let's say if I have a wide shot, maybe I need to crop it up to here, right? So technically I became into half of it. So 20 megapixel is amazing. Then you can zoom in and make it 10, for example. And then the 10 can be seen on your iPad or on your phone or on your laptop very nicely. Now, if you want to print bigger stuff, then you really need bigger sensor, bigger megapixel. That's it. In video, it's a little bit different. We still use pixels, but we stopped saying it by megapixel. Why? Because the photos, maybe you can have a photo like this in a portrait mode, right? While most videos, it's 16 by 9, which is like a TV, like that one. So, for example, the TV, if it's full HD, I'm sure most of you heard 1920 by 1080, right? Which is roughly 2000 by 1000. So basically, for videos, 2 megapixels are enough for HD. That's how they measure it. For 4K, it's 8.8 megapixel. That's how they calculate it in the C300 and the other terms. Now, again, do I need to shoot everything in the highest quality? Not necessarily, unless if my client is asking me. Unless, for example, as we said, you want to shoot something for Netflix original, then yes, I shoot with whatever they request. But if I want, let's say, to make a social video or a video about a problem in my community, maybe I have an issue and I want to address it to the government or to anyone, to any sector that can help out, I don't need to shoot it in the highest 8K, 16K, whatever. I need to shoot it in a way that people can watch it on their phone or on the laptop, correct? So that's related to pixels and megapixels. And in video, as I said, we started using the terms HD and full HD and HD, and then we have 4K now. That's how we started using it. Any other question?
One more question, but this is related to the video aspect of the camera.
Yes.
For example, I've used like a Blackmagic Cinema 4K camera, and I know that it has a very high dynamic range, and that translates to very large files when you shoot either in 4K or 1080. Okay. Now with mirrorless, for example, the EOS-R, if I was to shoot a video in 4K, Raul mentioned that it's also, the quality is good, it has a lot of dynamic range. Does that translate to huge files for your post-production on the clips when you're editing? And also, how competitive is the image quality on this if you were to compare to, for example, a 5D Mark IV or a 5D Mark III DSLR for shooting film, for example?
Okay. You wanna go, or me, or
okay. That's the challenge in the 4K production, first and foremost, okay? Because 4K, if we have to measure it by pixel, it is 4096 by 2160. 4096 by 2160. Wow. Which is like Aslan said, it's 8 by 8.
8.8
yeah.
megapixels.
Now, that's the first challenge in the 4K production, because 1 minute recording in RAW in 4K is 16 GB. That's a normal, okay? That's a normal way, a standard way of recording of 4K content. 1 minute RAW, 16 GB. Now, because of its humongous file, there are some companies who try to manipulate the content, the processing, so that it tries to compress, but not compromising on the quality of the raw file. Normally for us, as I'm also a filmmaker, I shoot in RAW only. I don't shoot in any other format, unless if I'm working with a commercial. I choose only, I have a ProRes as well. But sometimes if my client requires me to update their social network, I have another card that will shoot MP4. So all those 3 cards at the same time. Bang, 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 bang. So even while I'm recording, I'll remove the SD card that is shooting MP4, not a 4K, yeah? Give it to my editor, yeah, try to give some files to the company, and they will update their own Facebook or whatever social network. He returned to me the card, put it back, the camera is still recording. Yeah? So, but going back to your question, not all companies are also, well, most of the companies, camera manufacturer, they try to come up with their own way of recording 4K content in a more effective way. Canon, for example, has come up with, if you've heard about our EOS C200, we shoot the 4K as RAW light, we call it RAW light. So we are not compromising the quality, but we try to compress it as much as possible.
Is that you said the C5 or C400?
No, that's the C200.
Oh, C200, the new one. Yeah.
But if you shoot 4K with the C500, that's a 16 GB.
Yes.
You expect it 16 GB 1 minute. So if your raw footages to shoot a feature film, for example, is 3 hours. 3 hours is 180 minutes. You multiply by 16 GB. That's the amount of data. But there's no looking back. You need to accept 4K. You need to accept 4K. But in my case, having a wedding company back home in Manila, we only shoot 4K in a wedding. We don't shoot photos. We don't shoot photos. We shoot only 4K in a wedding. And we take our photos from the timeline. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah? And you call that hybrid photography. Hybrid photography is defined as shooting 4K video, taking your photos from the 4K timeline. So if you're the owner of the company, you save the salary of a photographer. Yeah? At the same time, you're also saving the camera of the photographer. Unless if you recruit them as freelancers. Yeah? But that is what the technology is all about today. It's about 4K. Netflix, Amazon, you want to sell your movie contents tomorrow, it's all 4K.
So we will talk quality-wise, just technical terms. If you're asking, yeah, sure. So basically, if you want to compare, let's say the Blackmagic or any other cinema camera, the best comparison would be, for example, is the C200 and the C300. So the difference between, let's say, the C200 and the rest of the cinema cameras is the following. So if I have an event, something where, let's say, I need to film something like this or a wedding or something very quick, the C200 will give you that flexibility of having small cards and small megabytes. So you are not wasting hard drives and 2 hours of just copying, right? And let's say every 2 weeks, maybe you will have this commercial or a short film or something really on a higher budget. So it has another card that is dedicated for RAW recording. So now you can start shooting RAW only if you need it. While let's say if you brought any other cinema camera and you start shooting an event or a wedding or a small corporate video in RAW, it's a waste of time, correct? So now, regarding the dynamic range, the best way to test it is not just to look at the sheet that comes with the camera, because usually they play with it. The best way is, for example, stand in front of a window, all right, and put a minimal amount of light on your person, whoever is standing in front of the camera, and put your camera until you can see the person nicely. Like basically his skin is not burning, is not becoming just one color. So in this way, and then look outside, okay? If you can see a lot of stuff outside, this means that the dynamic range is very high in this camera. Now, for example, I don't want to mention names, but some manufacturers say that we have 13 or 14 stops of dynamic range. Then you put your camera, as I told you, here is the person, here is the camera, and there is a window behind it. And then you look, the window is just white. They're blown out. There is nothing. So this means that, yes, no matter what they say, it's not about the numbers, it's about the actual result. So my suggestion to you, if you like, pass by, try the C200. If you are using Adobe or Avid or even Final Cut, the C200 RAW files are supported. It's much smaller than the camera that you mentioned or other major cinema RAW cameras. So you will enjoy working with it in RAW, and then you will realize you don't actually need to shoot in RAW in most of situations. There is the MP4 from it is gorgeous. I was shocked.
Wow, wonderful. Just one more thing, just a clarification. When it was launched, it was going for about $10,000. Am I right?
7.5 since the beginning.
Okay, 7.5.
Since the beginning, the C200 has always been 7.5.
Even here available locally?
Locally, I will check.
Yeah?
200.
C3 or C2?
200.
C200.
Well, C2. Parag, C2. What is your price today? Can you give him a special price today now?
We caught him off guard.
Well, I'm here. If he's willing to grab one today.
The current price is $850 plus VAT with the lens. 850,000.
Special price?
We have to see how much discount he gives you on that.
Squeeze us after the session.
Okay.
I'll tell him. Try it.
I'd love to.
Fantastic camera.
I've used the C5 and I know that the C2 is cutting edge.
The 200 is even nicer.
Which is and cheaper.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
But there is one exciting camera that you need to start playing later. That's the XF705. Anyway, the next session is all about cinema documentaries, which Aslan will start now.
So we'll make it more fun, faster paced, more images and videos. So please, for whoever is in the back, if you can sit in front so you can see the TV as well. So you can, yes. Yeah, but whoever also is in the back so he can see, because the monitors are a bit small if you want to read. Anyone wants to come closer? so you can able to see. Okay, so basically we were talk about cinematic documentaries and how the term documentary started changing. All right? 1 second. We killed the monitor. That's good. So basically, any idea who shoots documentaries here? Documentaries? Any documentary?
I've done documentaries, yeah.
Fantastic. 4. Good. Anyone who shoots events? Events, whether it's weddings, seminars, stuff like this. Okay, more. We have more hands, more hands. Anyone shoots online content? Online content? No online content? No, only films. Only films. Only film. So basically, yes, sure. Sure. 1. So, no problem. Is this fine? This is perfect? Fantastic. So basically, with time, the terminology of what a documentary is changed, because now we perceive our videos in a different way than we used to. It's not just the TV and the normal cinema. Now we have all the online streams. So, for example, I'll show you something. Now, this is usually supposed to be a commercial, but now it's considered commercial/documentary.
One word, that's what it takes to challenge, to empower, to create. And when I'm driving the Q60, there's one word I can't get out of my head. In art or in life. But to shape it, I needed help. People as driven to push the boundaries as I am.
Creative landscape.
Together, we own the road, turning the streets into our canvas. This is the word that drives me. What's yours?
Infinity, empower the drive.
So usually this is considered a commercial, but now they started adding that kind of documentary element to it, which is, for example, this gentleman is an artist. He's specialized in typography. So now this type of mini commercial documentary is just like less than a minute. But it feels longer, right? You know a little bit about the story, how they started drawing it, and then how they wrote the word bold during the streets of the city of Dubai. So basically this type, 5 years ago, it would be considered only a commercial. But nowadays there is a demand for stories that come like this, which is there is a product inside it, and then you can put it in a story-driven kind of a thing. Now, a lot might argue, say, no, it's a commercial. Yes, but for documentary filmmakers to make it in the long run, you need to go a little bit for commercialized shootings, and then you need to make a living as well. So what else do we talk about when we mention documentaries? So for example, the classic documentary, which is usually Nat Geo or this stuff with animals or anything about wars, we usually call it a classic documentary. And then we have now added to it, which is number 2, the corporate videos. So for example, if a company wants to talk, like Shell, for example, wants to talk about how they are helping the environment, let's say in Kenya, they are doing a lot of harm, but at the same time they're trying to help out by cleaning whatever problems that happened with the oils, right? So this is considered a corporate video documentary. And then you have events. Now, when we talk about an event, no matter what it is, let's say like the film festival here. Now, when you are recording it, you're actually documenting it. That's what it came from the term documentary. We will talk as well about the seminars and speeches, which is anybody who's talking like me, usually if you are the gentleman over there, is documenting what actually happened. And then we have the new thing, which is the online content. This is a genre that needs to be also explored. Are you ready? Anyone? So, we will talk a little bit about the history of documentary and ENG cameras. A little bit, I won't bore you, I promise. So, we started with the 35 millimeter cameras. What's that? 35 millimeter cameras. These are big film cameras. They used to be expensive, heavy, and it's not easy to shoot a documentary in the jungle or take it with you wherever you go. Now, after a couple of years, there comes the 16 millimeter. Notice how it's kind of small and it's almost sized like this one, like this camera. So this type of cameras is suitable, was during the 80s, 90s, to shoot a lot of amazing documentaries. Most of the documentaries that you watched and loved is usually shot with a 16 millimeter cameras, all right? Then we have the 8 millimeter cameras. Anyone had these when he was young? Anyone as old as me? Usually these were used for home videos before smartphones come in. So now, what are the difficulties when you're shooting with a film camera, like negative, till you know, the cameras that go, it has a film inside it. So we have the following problems. We have the cost of it. It's usually very expensive to develop the film. It's usually very loud cameras. You have the movement of the film, the sprockets. And also the duration of the magazine, which is the film roll itself. It usually, most of the magazines give you only 11 minutes. So let's say if you start the scene, maybe your actor is in the middle of the mood and you're like, oh, sorry, we need to remove and put another magazine, and that kills the mood, right? On top of that, you needed to record audio separately to a different device, like a sound recorder. And also it was super heavy at some point, not the latest 16, but the previous ones. And also, the most important factor, you can't check the footage the same day. Basically, whatever I shoot today, I need to wait 2 to 3 days till I send it to the lab, get the lab results, and maybe it's burnt or there is a problem or whatever, and I only saw it 2-3 days after, which is too late, right? So what happens, we have the digital era. These are the cameras that we have, which is the classic ENG. It's still now used in most TV stations. Are you familiar with this one? It shifted from tapes, now Digibeta and all of these things, and now they're using S/S cards or small digital cards. Now then there is the smaller medium cameras, and then the much smaller documentary cameras. Now these made a revolution in the early 2000s. Why? Because the camera became small, you needed only one person to work with it, right? You didn't need a full crew of 5-6 people to run around you just fixing problems. So let's talk about ENGs. Now in 2002, someone crazy enough, he wanted to use this camera to shoot, anyone knows the movie 28 Days Later? It's a zombies movie, like where the whole London becomes infected by a virus. So this gentleman, he had the budget to shoot with one film camera, but he said, okay, if I'm going to lock London Street, this is in the middle of London, and I need to block the cars because, you know, I need the city to be empty, right? So how would he do that? So he would lock all the streets, half of London, at 4 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning. He shoots that side, then locks the other side at 4 in the morning and shoots from that side. Now, if I'm shooting with one camera only, that will take hours. I need to just for one scene, I need to block the whole streets of London for 6-7 days. Instead, he opted for cheaper cameras and multiple of these, like let's say up to 11 cameras. Instead, he will put cameras all over the place, so he can film from different angles at the same time, which made the movie seem so real. Because at some point you're like, oh, wait, there is zombies or there is creatures and there is this. So after that, there comes some devices that we used in the 2000s that made this camera a little bit more cinematic. So basically the sensor was this size. It was trying to imitate to make the sensor this size. This is the size of the sensor of a 5D, and this is the size of a sensor of a cinema camera. Now, why is it important? It makes the image a little bit more cinematic. You know, when you have depth of field and isolation, and you have that kind of very creamy look, that is basically by the size of the sensor. Now, let's talk, anyone watch this movie, Crank? Crank 2 was also used again by some Canon smaller cameras for anyone who's starting on a small budget. This is 2008, 2009. They used handy cams and very tiny cameras. believe it or not. And they produced a very, very successful movie. This is the director, he's shooting with one, and he was giving the other people the other cameras. So let's say when Jason Statham is running in the streets of LA, he's actually being shot by multiple cameras, instead of making him repeat the action again and again. And sometimes when you try to edit, it's never the same, because his leg is here and then his leg is here. So by shooting by up to 20 cameras, he was able to capture a much more dynamic action films. So after that, one of the best documentary cameras was actually the Canon 305, XF305 in 2010, 2011. Till now, in the United Arab Emirates, we still use some of these cameras. It's gorgeous. It's been almost for 8 years. It's one of the most successful documentary cameras because you have everything. You have a wide angle, you have a tele lens, and you have 2 cards at the same time, so you can do a double backup or continuation. So when one is done, you move to the second one, which is amazing for documentary. You know, you're making someone is crying in front of the camera for a documentary, and then in the middle of it, oops, sorry, I need to change the card. Doesn't get like totally unacceptable. So that camera opened the door for a lot of cameras. Anyone remember these cameras? So 2008, 2009, the 5D was one of the first 2 cameras that are actually DSLRs that shoot cinematic images, videos at 24 and 30 and 25p. So people started putting silly accessories like you needed sound, you needed monitor, you needed the mic, you needed the cage, and all of these things. So, but the cool thing is, no matter how difficult it was to shoot with these things, there are some crazy directors who was like, okay, I don't have money, what can I do? I have this $1,000 camera, and let's shoot a full film with it. Now, at the beginning, you're like, oh, but maybe it's not high quality, maybe this, but technically, if you shoot it in a nice way and you understood the limitations of your camera, what it can and what it cannot do, you can do something cool. So he made this feature film. I want to show a little bit of the trailer. So this feature film was shot on the 7D, the one you were, one of you were asking about shooting with the 7D.
Do you mind reading me something?
What do you want me to read?
Something you wrote.
Okay. I thought I understood it, but
because
I didn't.
it's lightweight, you can put it anywhere. So small. 7D.
Only the idea of it, of you and me.
So it has that depth of field and the cinematic look. And if you shot it nicely, you can get a great image out of it.
Don't think about it.
So with time, this movie won a couple of awards and actually brought back lots of money for this director to make another film, which is great. Now, second film, you can buy a better camera and whatever. So basically, it's about a relationship between two cities.
What have you been doing?
And it's really, really good
Waiting for
movie.
you.
Anyways, I don't want to bore you. So after that, there is this movie. It's about the tsunami that happened in Japan. Okay, so the big cameras, the TV cameras that were supposed to come to the country with the director, there was you know, when a catastrophe happened, the roads usually get messed up. You cannot deliver your stuff easily. So she had a DSLR from Canon as well, and she's like, okay, either I have a movie or I don't have a movie, right? So why not? So whoever has a DSLR, look, you can separate the subject from the background, which is super nice for documentaries. At the same time, you can have a subject and your foreground is out of focus. Do you see these flowers? They're gorgeously, they have depth for the scene itself. And at the same time, you can take it anywhere, like even if a place that has destroyed roads or whatever, and you can choose with a focus point that can help you out, which is really nice. And this movie also won a couple of awards. Now, almost same 2 years or 3 years, there is a movie called Act of Valor. This cinematographer, also for budget reasons, and have you seen it? So this movie done by 5Ds and 7Ds only. Yes. Now they have lighting and they have lenses and they have everything, but mainly it was shot 5Ds and 7Ds. And I'm talking 5D Mark II and 7D Mark I. So if you have a 7D Mark II and you're saying, oh, my camera is so bad, it's not the problem of the camera. I have bad news for you. So basically this movie, they were able to put, if you see the gentleman with the helmet, the military guy with the helmet, they were able to put the 5D next to his head. So they will have a point of view shot. At the same time, look at the guy in the puddle or in the water. They were able to put the camera at this level because they're not afraid. If they destroyed one, it's kind of fine. Plus, it's so small, so I can put it here. While a big cinema camera, you need to have this space just for the stand of it. So with time, I will let you watch a part of the trailer. So they used actual military people, trained. It's just the story that is fiction. Please have a look. And yes, I swear this is 5D and 7D.
You don't expect your family to understand what you're doing. You just hope they'll accept it.
I'm so excited for you, man. You're gonna be a good dad.
And when you get home, you hope you can pick up right where you left off.
3, 2.
Does it look like a DSLR?
All clear! Target secure!
This is a personnel recovery. Proceed to target, recover the package, and move to extract.
Got it.
So these are actual tactics that the American Army uses. They were able to put the camera on the gun
Target
itself.
secure.
Usually that was almost impossible.
For all those who've been downrange, to us and those like us, damn few.
I have positive control of the Raven. We have enemy QRF approaching from the north.
This thing is way bigger than we thought it was. They're gonna hit us at home.
Hey boys, we gotta roll! Just for a minute.
So you understand the limitations of your camera. So I need to move or you want to finish it? Move. So now what happened when we upgraded to the cinema line, which is the C series? Now why did we jump? I started with, as I said, with smaller DSLRs. With time we started having some problems or difficulties. Like you can walk around it, but then at some point the difference in price between the 5D and a C100 or a C200 is not that much at some point. If it's gonna cause you headaches to repeat a shot or keep going. So basically these are some of the reasons that we started with. You have a better battery life, so you have cameras that can give you around 4 hours of battery continuously. You have proper screen over here, so you have a high resolution to do all of your work on it, focus and what's on. You have professional audio inputs. You have proper XLRs instead of putting a small audio recorder and the audio is really bad and all of these things. You can record more than 30 minutes. DSLRs are known that they can record only 29 minutes. And also there is good codec for post-production, focusing tools, exposure tools, and useful buttons. We will talk about it after. So let's talk about also why it's nice to have this type of stuff. So TV stations in most of countries now, they refuse sometimes to work with DSLR's footage because people who are using it are usually not using it as its best, with its limitations. So you will usually get very shaky footage, very overexposed footage, or very saturated footage, right? Or very dim footage. So the cool thing is when you mix between, let's say, cinema or video line and the DSLRs, you get the benefit of having, you can go to a TV station. Well, yes, part of my movie was shot on a DSLR. The other part was shot on a professional video camera, and then they will be more approving of buying your stuff because you know you're a professional. You will have less shaky and wobbly images because DSLRs are not made for quick pans, while cinema cameras are much better in that regard. And also you can record very good audio with the built-in in these cameras like this or the C300 or C200 because it has proper audio inputs. Now, and also the most important thing, usually with DSLRs, the biggest problem is you don't have anything in focus. You try to, because the screen is super tiny, you try to get someone and then his nose is in focus and his eye is not. Anyone has that problem before? the shot is completely ruined because something is out of focus. So this is why the cinema line is important. Now, let's start with, I will talk about the 5 types of new documentary. I'm not going to talk about the old way of doing 1.5 hour documentary. I'll talk about the TV shows and the online videos that you can do and make money out of it. And if you have any question for any of the videos, please let me know. Sounds good? Okay, so we start with classic documentary. It's not very classic. It's between classic and the new era of documentary. So I'll show you something. We spent around 7 months in the desert of in the Gulf, filming the last generation of Bedouins living there, like multiple families who actually own an oasis in the middle of the desert, which is fun. So we used to travel between a place to a place to film these people. So please have a look. Documenting the lifestyle of these people, and also we have interviews outside. This documentary, it's like around 3 seasons. Each one is 13 episodes. With each family, we had like a full-on episode. It won the best documentary in the region. Now these are just glimpses from it. Now what we've been doing actually is the following. So with each family member or the main, the biggest guy in the family, we do a full-on interview with 3 cameras to make it interesting. 1 moving camera and 2 on the sides. So it's not just the boring one shot. Usually most documentaries say, oh, it's just a documentary, so just put 1 camera and whatever, sometimes like this, and just like, yeah, just put him talking. It's not nice. Now, because you're used to much nicer images, so you want something nicer. So we do the interviews, and then we shoot other also interactions between their families. We shoot some weird stuff that we found. For example, this is a line of camels. I swear, I kept recording, and we were in a 4-wheel. We kept driving, and the line of camels is not finishing. I thought there is a déjà vu in my mind that it's not going on and on, it's not finishing. So again, we film also some parts of drama with some actors repeating. For example, he will tell us a story. Let's say he will say a story about him meeting someone or his car having an issue in the 80s, and then they found this celebrity. All of these things, we re-imitated it with proper actors. So while you're watching him talking, you are also watching what's happening. You are imagining on behalf of what he's saying, so it's much nicer. At the same time, we have some parts where they're doing traditional songs, so that will be nice for some areas that you want to preserve the cultural language, or when you want to preserve their songs, for example, the folklore. So other than that, we were filming them. Let's say we have some problems while we reach to some areas. The guys who ruled that place, they said, if you got stuck in the sand, only a helicopter can take you out. And they were 100% serious. They said, even if your friends got stuck, keep going. We will call a helicopter. It will take an hour to arrive. They will pick up the car, and they will fly them back to wherever you come from. And so we have some cars that got stuck, and we have camera crew in each in vehicle. So we used to also film what happened during that. Oh, I have a flat tire in the middle of the Saudi desert or whatever, or we have an issue with this, So all of these things got documented. Now, let's talk about how this type, are you interested in this type of shows, to film something in the region that is similar? Because, for example, now we got acquired to shoot something. It might be in Sudan and Nuba, to cover up some singers that are actually very special in that area, to go on a tour to follow, like, let's say, 30 singers, to archive it. So we will do the exact same thing. For example, first thing is the most important thing in a documentary, which usually most people ignore, is the research. So you do the proper research. So we have the gentleman that you saw him holding the radio. That guy is a researcher. He's a writer as well. So he started doing research about the families, where they live, how they eat, all of these things. And we found books that are 60 years old or 50 years old about how this generation used to live. And we tried to imitate the same kind of atmosphere. And the funny thing is, like, let's say there is a well, you know, the well for water. So in the picture, we made a well that is very similar to that picture. And then an old man came and he was almost going to cry because he said, this well was for my grandpa. How did you know that it looked like this? So he remembered it when he was a kid. But when he saw it, he was like, this is real. This is as real as it can get. Now, the second thing is you decide the look of your documentary. So now you can watch a lot of documentaries online, and you can watch a lot of movies online, and you can discuss with your cinematographer, oh, I want this to look similar to this kind of thing, or similar to that kind of thing. I want it to be very moody and dark, or I want it to be very happy. As you saw, it's more like well lit and all of these things. So it's actually part of your preparation. Other than that, we start doing the interviews. So this is the easiest part, because you go to meet someone. Hello, how are you? This is your place. Let's make your place look nice. So we do an interview with you, and then we film what we call B-roll for your area. So we film the houses, we film the tents, we film the animals that are there, the way that you make fire or food or all of these things, and we put it we put it as parts on top of your talking. Now, if you have any story, as we discussed, if you mention a story, how the first time you entered the city, for example. So we reimagine that of one guy in an old car. Let's say we find a car, same model number that he was talking about, and we brought it and we put it next to the beginning of the city. And it makes the story a little bit nicer to watch. Now we have the general views, which I said, the shots with B-rolls. And then after that, we have a break for a month. We watch all the footage. We listen to all the interviews, and then we see what are the stories that are missing. Do we miss more shots of, let's say he was talking about a different mountain that we didn't have any shots of, so we go back and we shoot it. So that's why the documentaries sometimes take longer to establish. So this is the process I think you can imitate as well to do a lot of types of this kind of genre of shooting. Okay, any questions related to this type of documentaries? Anyone wants to ask a question? To shoot? To shoot almost 7 months on and off. So sometimes maybe we'll go for 3 weeks, and then we'll come back for a month for a relax, or 2 weeks, and then again we go for a week, and so on for 7 months. Editing took, other than the 7 months while we're doing, another 3 months. Other questions? Anyone interested to do a similar type of show like this in the region here, or think that people might be interested? What type of subjects would you put instead of this? Can we get a mic for him?
Hi everyone, my name is Rahim Khan. I'm from Diani Beach. I'm a photographer and aspiring filmmaker as well. So basically where I come from, it's a dry region, so problems that the local communities are experiencing, such as droughts maybe.
Droughts, yes.
Yeah, they need education, they need maybe water. So you can like film what they actually do, how they live, to maybe try and empower them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that sounds like a great idea.
Yes.
I'll tell you a story. For example, a friend of mine in Sudan, in some area in Sudan, he made this film with a small DSLR. He had a Canon small DSLR. As we said, like, oh, how big can the impact be from a small camera? So he shot it as best as he can. It was showing just how when they took the guns from that area, actually the atmosphere became better. Because when they took guns, people started like, oh, I need work, instead of just hustling to get something. And they started having actual jobs and stuff like this. And he just documented the families that left fighting and started working. He documented like 6 families doing that. And then the UNICEF helped these families even more, which is really nice as an effect. I believe even if you helped 6 families with a documentary, it's much nicer than making a full-on big 1.5-hour documentary without any impact, right? Any other ideas for people who want to do something similar here in the region? You wanted to mention?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick Njashe. I am a content producer. Actually, I'm working on one currently, and what we're doing is we are following someone from maybe a different tribe and placing them with a local community. And now we take the POV of this person to figure out what this community is like. So for example, we would take someone from a place like Kisumu and then take them to Samburu and then see through his eyes this new culture and how he gets to deal with it. And also we learn about the Samburu.
Yes.
So it's something that is we're already doing, yes.
It's great, it's great. Plus, with this, whether it's a 10 minutes documentary or 1 hour documentary, you can show the other area how we are all actually same thing. We're all same. We have the same desires, we have the same needs, we we enjoy the same kind of things. So sooner or later, even if there is any differences between the areas, they are kind of disappearing, which is amazing to have that effect. Great job. Any questions related to this type of shoots? If you are looking for any type of, we're fine, we move on? We move on. So this is part of the stuff. This is my business partner. This is how we spent the stuff. These are the tents that sometimes we stay at. We have full crew with us, like not full crew, but we have around 3 lighting people and 1 assistant and 2 shooters with 3 cameras. So that was our main thing. We can all fit in kind of 1 Jeep in the way, so we're not like a huge, we need 6 trucks and whatever. So let me show you something else. That show led us to receive
تاريخية المنطقة التي ولد فيها أكسبته الكثير من العمق الفني. البيئة الشعرية عميقة ومتعددة جدا بحيث نهل منها في هذا الخصوص.
من هنا تشكلت هذه الشخصية التي زاوجت بين الأغنية التقليدية الإماراتية المحلية وبين هذا البعد الخليجي والبعد العربي.
هناك أمانة في عمق الفنان، يجب أن ينظر إلى الكلمة الجيدة مع اللحن الجيد، سواء كانت شعبية أو كانت بالفصحى أو كانت يعني الكلمة يجب أن تكون مدروسة، وهذه مهمة الفنان نفسه. فنأمل من الله إن شاء الله يوفقنا في طريقنا هذا الفني إن شاء الله.
كان لجهود الشيخ زايد أثر كبير في مسيرة جابر جاسم الغنائية والفنية.
يدرس الموسيقى العربية ويتعرف على شتى الألحان العربية والمقامات.
التجديد اللي طرأ على أسلوب جابر جاسم جاء بفضل ثقافته واحتكاكه بالمعهد العالي وسادة المعهد العالي.
بعد التعلم وبعد تقديم الكثير من المراحل أصبح أمل الشباب.
الكلمات كانت مختلفة، كلمات جزلة سريعة مختصرة قوية مباشرة، فكان بكل معنى الكلمة يمثل ظاهرة مختلفة في تلك المرحلة.
وعشقي للبحر أكثر.
توظفت أنا في وزارة الإعلام في قسم الإذاعة فرقة موسيقية، فلقيت هذا العبقري صراحة الله يرحمه جابر جاسم. من ضمن الأشياء أنه كان متواضع جدا 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 الله يرحمه، طيب لأبعد الحدود، ما يبخل عليك بأي معلومة.
سيدي يا سيد سادتي، سيد الصود المنايين.
اي شريط جديد ينزل لجابر جاسم كان يعتبر يعني حدث كبير، لان الناس ينتظرون انه بيقدم فيه شيء جديد، بيقدم فيه الحان جديده.
فلجابر جاسم الفضل في خروج الأغنية الإماراتية من عباءة المحلية التي كانت فيها.
Apply this for a show for your TV station. Do you think you can have something? Now, the good thing about these is you start looking for a singer that your country likes, for example, but there isn't much about him. Not the Instagram generation, find someone a little bit older. So if you couldn't find a lot of stock footage for this person or previous interviews, it's nice to start documenting his life while he's alive now, at least with an interview. So even if you have an idea for a documentary and you don't have the funding for it yet, go on, let that actor know, or singer, whatever, a celebrity, tell him, sir, we really like your work. Can you give us just half a day of your time? We would like to come to your place or a place we invite you to, and we make an interview. Now, before you go there, you need to have a presenter who knows a lot about the history of this actor or singer. Why? Because it's not nice to be in front of the singer and he's like, how did you start? There are usually articles about that singer. So the more you know about him, the more that he will get interested that you actually know, and he will start telling you amazing stories. Trust me, sometimes we might sit at someone's house for 7 hours and telling you amazing stories. Like, we wish we had more time on TV to put. But with this kind of way, you open a small door for a future documentary. So, for example, if this gentleman maybe he won't stay alive for a long time, or maybe he will become even more famous in 2 years or 5 years, and you have this amazing interview with him. So later on, when you have the funding for it, usually for some reason we start taking care of someone after he dies. I don't know why. He's like, oh, he died, let's make a documentary about him. Usually it's nicer to do it while he's alive, and then you continue when he's gone. Any question related to this type of shoots? Fine, we move on. Okay, so now we will talk about the more commercial kind of documentary reality TV show. So this is a show about girls who want to do plastic surgery. I know it's totally different than artistic stuff, but a lot of people are having that kind of thought nowadays in our generation. So basically what we do, we film the surgeries or the procedures. We have the opinions of health doctors, like real doctors, talking about what is going to be done. We have makeup session. We have the lady covered. She doesn't know how she looks like till she is in front of the mirror. This is the reveal day. And this is part of the revealing, which is basically like with music and slow motion and stuff. She sees the new version of her. Have you seen the show called The Swan before? Something similar. This show has been on for around 12 years. For some reason, plastic surgery is booming. So what we do as well, we have the main presenter, which is the host. She also takes these ladies through their journey. So we have different type of mirrors or revealing days. So she goes inside her, she's blindfolded, and she discovers all the stuff the changes that happen with her. Usually she's not allowed to see herself before. And we do full-on surgery shooting. You need to be fully wearing all the doctor's uniform. They need to do all the washing and the cleaning the equipment and whatever before you enter the surgery. And we enter the surgery, sometimes 4-hour surgery, just to get a montage of 1 minute that looks good. So all of these procedures, this is us shooting inside the mirror with the C300s. So are you interested to know how we shoot this type of shows, or okay? So basically, we start with the archiving of the contestants. So they put an ad on social media or on the TV or on the website. Whoever wants to have these kind of, the opportunity to have these kind of changes. Some of them is not actually like what people think about plastic surgery. You have, for example, teeth. You have people who have injuries that, for example, had a huge cut on their faces and they're having problems going to work, right? Sometimes some girl has an accident for her nose, and she was so shy to go show people her nose because it looks really bad. So with these, we have like a casting sessions for, let's say, 500, 700 contestants. So we need to shoot it, and we shoot, basically each lady has a number, a small number. So we keep shooting everybody, and later on we start putting each person's file on its own, like even while you are waiting outside. You know how, let's say, the X Factor or all of these shows, there are people outside. So we do the interviews with them outside, and we do also some files with them, let's say laughing or crying outside or doing whatever, and then we add it to their profile. So after that, we get the medical timeline. The medical timeline comes from the doctors. So the doctors will tell you, for example, this procedures to go from here to here, we need 8 months. So first, it's not about production schedule, it's about the health of the human being, how much they need to recover, how much these, for example, you need 3 surgeries for your nose. So the first surgery will be, let's say, in March, then in May, then in June, and then you need 2 months for full recovery. So this is the type of stuff we do. After that, we do the interview with the person himself who wants to go for these procedures. So they start talking about their house, their family, that the problems that they had. Some people lost their husband or their wife because of some accidents or burns or whatever, or just lack self-esteem. And then we do also a little bit about their life. We bring a friend, talks about them as well. Oh, my friend, she was so nice, and then she had this car accident, and then this happened. I mean, you know, all these stories. So after that, we start putting a timeline for the sessions. This was actually produced by NBC, one of the biggest TV channels in the Middle East, and produced by High End Films. They did all the assessments for all the sessions. So basically, if you need 6 sessions for the skin, 12 sessions for the nose, and all of these things, we need to film it and we need to archive it. So with time, after 8 months, we have a full episode for this lady. Some episodes might need only 1 month because it's a very small procedure. Maybe it's just teeth, or maybe it's just like main skin issue, so we can fix it faster. And then we do what we call the reveal. Usually we shoot the before and after shot. So we shoot the before while we are doing the interview with the girl. We try to keep the same shots, whether it's photos or videos. Like, for example, it's this, or whatever part that she wants to change. So this is regarding the beauty show or anything similar to that. Anyone interested to know anything else? Do you have any questions, or should I move on? Good? So we go to the second type, which is very good for documentary filmmakers, and they always neglect, which is corporate videos. Now, companies usually, they want someone to talk about them. They want someone to tell their story, how they started. Like, it's always amazes me that you go to a factory and you meet the old man there, and he's just this little man or whatever, and he's so down to earth. And then he's like, yeah, you know, I started in the 80s, I had $2 in my pocket, and I went and I did this and this and this. This type of stories, you can make it as a corporate video as well. Because, for example, the owner or the founder of this company, maybe he won't be alive for the next 5 years or whatever, and you have that amazing interview with great stories for him. Now, another type of corporate videos, which is events for corporates. I will show you now, for example, this is a meeting for the biggest petrol managers in the GCC. They control oil and gas.
ADIPEC award is really growing and gaining momentum. The numbers of the submission which we had exceeded the previous years. Very good, very motivating submissions.
I surprised when I saw more than 80 entries actually in my categories. It needs from us actually to go in to micro details.
The topics, the achievements being made, the innovative ideas coming forward is a testimony to the resilience of this industry.
I'm really impressed with the numbers, impressed with the ideas, impressed with the process we are taking care of it. So it is very important, and we take it really seriously.
I was actually very, very surprised and very happy to see a lot of positivity in the submissions. This is really remarkable to see how to win. I would say to remain simple, bring solutions that are practical, and think about the big picture.
The ADIPEC Award, I think, is really quite unique in the opportunities it gives for teams of professionals to really achieve recognition for their work.
Some incredible thinking, some incredible projects going on globally. It cuts across the entire industry. It's very difficult to pick a winner, especially when you have so many good entries.
You know, when you start, you actually look at the entries and say, oh, this is a very nice entry. And then you see another one that is even better.
In particular, what really impressed me is the Young ADIPEC Award. The finalists were 3 women, and they are impressive. This is something we should all be proud of.
More and more women are coming to this category. There's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of deeper thoughts about what they will do in this industry.
The Young ADIPEC engineer is something very, very important and sets example for others to perform better.
The fact that this year that we've got 3 ladies is a great milestone. It's a testament of how the industry has changed.
They are brilliant. They got the energy.
So anyways, this type of documentaries, usually they request a small part for the online videos. So they will request a 1 to 3 minute to show it to public. And sometimes they would request a longer version for themselves to see all the entries, what they've done and all this. Usually it's much more boring or more technical. So it's just for them to watch. Now, how do we start? Anyone interested, or you think this might be something interesting for someone from, or the companies in Kenya, for example? Do you think any company might be interested in this type of work here? You think you might have an idea to propose this? Great. So first thing first, you need to know the people or the company. Meaning, sometimes you might go to a company as a filmmaker and he's like, hey, I'm the best filmmaker in the world. Okay, who cares? You need to know the company you are pitching for. Let's say you go to that ABC company, you need to know a little bit about their history, what are the products that they do, where they come from, where they operate. Now, why do I need to know that? Because let's say you are asking them for a lot of money, right? You need to show them that you care about them as well, correct? If you just go to a company and said, yeah, I will make a documentary about you, but yeah, whatever. Whatever story you have, we will do it. So you start by knowing the names of the people that are at the company, knowing what kind of projects they do and all of these things. So after that, you make a schedule. So if it's an event or a corporate, you follow up the timeline of the company. So sometimes the company will tell you, by the way, in January the 5th, we have this important venue, we need it. And then let's say in February the 2nd, we have this kind of very important speech for our manager. So when you are on their schedule, they will consider you as a partner company. This is where you start making money with other companies. Because usually most filmmakers are like, oh, look, I have the shiniest camera, and I have the best lens, and I have so many memory cards. I have the best tripod. But do you know anything about the subject you're going to shoot? No. So why are they going to pay you, right? So the third thing is you shoot a lot. So if they have events or if they have meetings or if they have the board speech and all of these things and interviews with the board members and the founders, so it's good to shoot it. Then you don't distract what they do. So basically some of us think just because we're filmmakers, we're allowed to stop whatever thing that is happening wherever we go. Hey, yeah, cut, stop this, nobody talks. I need to do this. Have you seen this before? In any type of documentary, they go into a company and yeah, switch the machines off. Tell this guy to get out. And the customer, tell him no, we're closed. They will you will be out in 2 minutes. So you should be not a distraction for them. Meaning their work needs to be as smooth as possible. Let's say you want to shoot at their factory. If they have a factory, whatever, maybe they make yogurt. You need to find a time where you can film there at the cleanest of their kind of machines to make it look nice and everything, but without making a distraction of making them losing money. This is what most filmmakers start thinking, like, no, it's all about art. It's not about art only. You have to follow up with whatever people are doing as well, right? So Another thing is shoot again, especially the VIPs. So basically, let's say sometimes filmmakers, they go to an event, they shoot it. Imagine you go to the wedding, okay? I'm sure you're all familiar with wedding cinematography, and you did not film any photo or video for the mother of the bride. What will happen to you? Big problem, right? It's just the main key actors or key people in the thing. The same thing with corporate videos. So for example, you start learning that this is the vice president of this company. Maybe he's not so active or so out and about, but you need to include videos or interviews and stuff for him. Because imagine after you make an amazing looking video and you're like, and they ask you, oh, but where is the shot for our president or the company? Well, you know, I didn't like how he looks like. He was in a corner and he didn't look so good. And I was like, I don't want to film him. You know, it's not artistic enough. Then he's the guy who's paying you the money to do this, right? So you need to make sure that you cover these people, especially group shots as well and close-ups. Sometimes we get so distracted by the nicest lens, the 7200 or 85, and you start taking all these beautiful shots, but you forget that there are employees there, There are employees that you need to take a group shot for them as well. So this is the type of corporate videos. Any question related corporate videos? Anyone thinks that he might be able to apply this type of stuff to shoot a corporate video here? Useful, not useful? Waste of time, not waste of time? Go ahead. Can we have the mic? We have a question. Woohoo! Question. Make it good, 1,000 shillings.
Yeah. The point about not distracting.
Yeah.
I found myself distracting how things operate when you're shooting corporates. When you have an issue with sound, especially if you're at a factory or there's some machinery, the trucks making noise, what workarounds have you come up with creatively to get over such obstacles?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, for example, remember when I told you be on their schedule? Yeah. So, for example, if I know that the machine that makes it teet, 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 that machine all day, okay, starts at 8. So I make sure that I'm there at 7, setting up for the interview with the guy who's operating that machine before he starts switching on that machine, so I don't have that noise. Yes, I understand sometimes you're at the airport. Let's say we film corporate videos and documentaries for the airport, and there's always flights and all of these things. In this case, you start finding another room that is more suitable. You start even organizing with someone from that company. Oh, listen, your factory is maybe a little bit better if we go in another side and we do the audio there. Are you fine with that? Or another solution. Let's say if this guy is operating the machine for making this milk product or whatever, right? So what we do is we do the filming of him operating that machine as B-roll or beauty shots. And then I do the interview with him in a different place, or after all these machines are gone. And then I cut between them, between him talking, and I woke up and I work from 7 and I do this, and then in between he's doing all the machinery stuff. Good. Other questions? Here you go in the back.
Yeah. Usually when it comes to the corporate videos, I kind of find it a bit difficult when it comes to post. Like, how do you go about, let's talk about this Kalasha.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want the 3 days clip, they want it, and they want it to be a corporate. Like selling Kalasha, what happened here. Like, how do you go about the post? Because it's
a big problem.
Yeah, there's so many footage.
Yes, good, very good question. 1,000 shillings for you. So basically, for this, especially big events, usually you shouldn't accept to be only on your own in huge places. Why? Because at the beginning they will tell you, oh, it's a small thing, don't worry, we'll just... And then suddenly they're like, oh, there's something over there, go, 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 go. And then while you're there, someone is calling you, oh, why did you miss the corporate over here? Oh, why did you shoot the conference over there? And you cannot be all places, right? So usually we start in this type of events or corporates by teams. So you assign full teams. Now what we do, let's say we have multiple booths over there, right? A lot of booths or stands for the other companies. So I assign 1 or 2 people taking care of the booths through the whole 3 days. So they can go, they can do interviews with each stand. Hi, Mr. Mike, how are you? Can you tell us about your experience at Kalasha? It's been amazing. We were able to fund this many films and all of this. So I know that this guy and his cards and his camera, now most of the Canon cameras, let's say the C200, C300, the XF series, 405, 50, or 705, you can name the camera. So for example, I can name that camera B1 for booths or stands, and the second one is B2. So you are assigned by the camera B1 and your friend is assigned for B2, right? And I can name also the files there by the date of, for example, 01, so B1, 01 for day 1, your camera, right? Then B1, 02, and 03. So now when I'm looking for something, I tell you, remember this guy from the booth number whatever 40? Yes, I filmed him in day 2. So I go, I know that you are B1, for example, B102. Immediately you'll have all the files for that guy. You're like, why is it so complicated? It's not. At the beginning, first 1 hour is complicated to name everything, but then you're on fire. Now, and you dedicate 1 or 2 cameramen to shoot the other events. So for example, because there is here 2 conferences, 1 conference and 1 workshop happening, right? So maybe that one guy can be taking both at the same time. Okay, so he will go, take a little bit from there, come back here, take a little bit from here. Then in this way, I know that, for example, C1, which is the camera for conference, is taking all the time the conferences here. And I have a schedule, like the Kalasha has a schedule, right? They say there is a workshop on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, for example, and it's from this hour to this hour. Now, the cool thing is with the proper video cameras, you can start, there is something called time code by the time of the day. So, for example, you know that at 3 p.m., for example, the Canon workshop starts, right? So I go back to C1, which is the conference room camera, and 0030000, then I know that that is exactly the Canon workshop. So in this way, with the proper preparation, you know in advance what's going to happen. You prepare properly, so when you go to the post, you know exactly how to work. For example, now you will ask them, okay, how long is the highlights video that you want? Oh, we want just one of the videos, we need it 1 minute, right? They always ask, can I have 1 minute? 1 minute. Tell me the whole story. So in that 1 minute, you look for a nice interview or 2, quick sayings, oh, we enjoyed it, it's the best event ever, and all of these lines, and then you add some music to it, and then you pick a little bit from every place. So for example, the guy who shot the conference rooms, you will pick a little bit from his files. The gentleman who shot the stands or the booths, you will take some of his files. And there is one camera, we call it the roaming camera or the events camera. Let's say a celebrity came in to here and you filmed him. You know that this roaming camera, let's call it R1. R1 is dedicated for celebrities and all of these people. So you go that camera and you can check all around the footage that he found, and you can make videos out of it. Sounds good or too complicated?
Yeah, it sounds good, yeah.
So I've done a corporate video about a company that was celebrating 30 years of service. So one particular complaint I got was that the speed of the cuts was very high. So they usually end up giving you a very tiny, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. They don't know maybe how much you have to do, how many cuts you have to do, but eventually you end up doing 2 or 3 even videos, and they still say you're cutting too fast. So how do you balance that? And you've told them that if you need it this way, then I need to maybe add more minutes, but they don't agree or something.
One, two, 1, 2, 1. Yeah. So for example, for this type of situations, again, one thing that most filmmakers, when they start especially, they think... One, two. So at the beginning, most of us will think that this video is mine. I'm making this video, but at the end of the day, you're making it for someone, right? Let's say if you have a restaurant, I don't make the food for only what I like and then I give it to you to eat it, right? Whatever you like it well done, you like it raw, you know? So you need to check first with them what are their requirements. So the best case scenario for this type of clients is you need to have like a template videos from before, the stuff that you've done. And you show them all the types of, like let's say you have 3 types of video. One is for young guys, which is like boom, boom, with all the very fast music, fast cuts and things like this. And then you show them a different version, which is the more slower paced, old school, especially old companies. They don't like the very rushed type of thing. They're like, oh, can we see our manager for more minutes? Or like for another 2 minutes. Can we see the machines? For you, it's not a big thing to see, for example, the tanks of the company. Okay, but for the manager, he paid God knows how much to get these tanks or cars or stuff like this, right? For you, your filmmaker inside you, it looks hideous. But if you think about it, this is his product. That's what he's showing, that's what he's selling. So the moment you have like template videos, it's like when you go to, you have a menu for food, right? You have a menu for colors for your house. When you go to someone, you're like, I like this, I like this, I like this. The same thing happens when you are showing your client the type of videos you do. So you show them 3 or 4 videos and they will tell you, oh, I like this one. It's very similar to what I like. And then you know exactly what type of stuff you're doing. Sounds good? Anyone else related to this type of corporate videos? Good, useful so far? Sure? Okay. So we will talk now about events, which is also in demand a lot nowadays because people are doing a lot of events to promote their product or to promote their brand or to promote their factory or company. Okay, so for example, this is a show we did for, we have a mall called Dubai Festival Mall, Dubai Festival City Mall. Now that mall, because it's in a little bit far away from the city, so people used to like it when it opened, and then suddenly nobody goes there anymore, which is bad. And I'm sure there are a lot of shops or malls or whatever also in Kenya that face the same issue, right? It's a big thing for mall operators, their profit to go from whatever millions into a couple of 100,000. They start panicking. So they requested a company to let us shoot an event for them. They wanted to make like an entertainment device, which is a fountain, water fountain, with laser show. So it is the biggest laser show water fountain in Guinness World Record, and they wanted to film that. So this is and they wanted to edit it same day. Why? Because we did the announcement that there will be the event. So some people came in, but other people are like, oh, it's gonna be boring. Who cares? So we made the first video of the preparation. So people started joining. And then after the second stuff, we did another video. And then more people came to see the third or the fourth show, which is every half an hour or 20 minutes. So this is what happened.
amazing, totally amazing. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
This is one of his highnesses.
Fantastic. It's very good. It's the first time I see a show like this.
The fountain in the middle at the end.
Fire and water.
It was amazing.
We weren't allowed to film
Fantastic. I haven't seen anything like this before.
Cool.
Fantastic. Different. It's really nice. We are enjoying it. Very nice weather, very good program.
It's a really awesome thing. Magnificent.
It's awesome. Tourist people here is very happy.
Biggest show. Now, again, for a mall that has barely a couple of hundred views to go into a couple of 100,000 views, for example, it's just like for them, it's accomplishment. And this actually revived the whole mall. They did a lot of changes. So this type of events is important also for corporate clients because they want you to show how much they spent to make that show, how much effort that they did, how much preparation went off to do these kind of things. So as a filmmaker, sometimes you think, oh, I need just to show the beautiful side of it. But you never think, oh, well, the assembly of this thing actually costs so much time and money, I need to document it. So this type of work is important to go on. So what we do, the most important thing is what we call the recce or the pre-visit. So basically we went a day or two before to know. If you've noticed, the mall is huge. The whole area and because of the crowd is insane. You cannot walk from a side to another. So we needed to dedicate some paths for the cameramen so they don't get stuck in one area or another. So the recce is so important because you start knowing, like for example, if we need to film in this venue, I need to bring my guys or at least two of our team to know everything about this place. Where are the toilets? Where are the exits? Where are the important places we need to cover? What are the stuff that the client insists that you need to show? For example, in this event, we need to show all of these, okay? So if you missed it, the client will be sad because he paid so much to make this stand or this kind of artwork or this type of stuff. So the second thing for this type of same-day edit is choosing the music. So in film school, what do they teach us? They teach us, yes, you have all the time to choose music, right? Yeah, keep thinking, drink some coffee, put some music list and keep listening. Now with clients, when you're working for someone else, not for you as a director, you need to show them a list of the music that they also like and pick it beforehand. Why? Because while we're filming, we have that music in our head to make it ready, to make the movement similar to that music. And also the editor has been listening to it all day long, okay? And plus, it's very difficult to make a video on some track, a music, and then the client says, oh, I don't like this music. Can you change it? And you did a full edit for 3 minutes, you will die, because now you need to work again from scratch, right? So, because you are cutting on the music, correct? Like, let's say if you are hearing, you put the cuts on that side. So choosing the music beforehand is very important for this type of clients. Now, on top of that, we have the cameras in their places. So basically, if you are distributing this show, how do you think, how many cameras were there? Anyone? 3? Only 3? Ooh, very optimistic. You need around 15 minutes just to go from one angle to another. What else? Any more? More numbers? 10 cameras? Okay, 10 cameras. Any more? Basically, we're 5 cameras. But we made a backup for most of the cameras, and we had 1 or 2 camera assistants traveling memory cards and batteries and all of these things. And we chose strategic places. So for example, you need to know the list of activities on that day were this long. Even the organizers weren't able to memorize it. So we needed to write down on our hand or on a small piece of paper all the events that are happening. And because it's very loud, you cannot make phone calls. So we were chatting on a group or whatever that do this, do that, who's up, who's down, who's doing this. So on that timing, we made sure that everybody at his time when he was supposed to be there. So everything went smoothly. And in case something happened, one guy, for example, got stuck in the corner of. Remember when it got so busy near you see the dancing LED guys, the big guys. That corner, because it brought so much attention, it froze the whole place. Everybody's like, for 15 minutes. So you cannot move. You cannot, excuse me, move, I need to film. You can. So he was stuck. So he will make a phone call or on WhatsApp or whatever that another cameraman need to cover that angle and so on. So you need to make sure that all your camera operators or cameramen know their places, know the place around. Because maybe, for example, let's say most cameramen, they will come and they're like, oh, where is my camera? Where should I go? And that's it. And you tell them, can you go next to the food restaurant or the restaurant over in the corner? Which restaurant? I don't know. Can you go near the toilet in the whatever? I don't know where are the toilets. Can you go towards the conference room? I don't know. So you need to have that in advance. So on top of that, we have the backing up. When you are looking for same-day edits, we call it, which is you want to deliver 1 or 2 videos on the same day for social media, you need to have enough hard drives and different computers. So for example, some people might charge less and they will come with 1 laptop. But what happens if your laptop crashed? Till you go home, 1 hour going and 1 hour coming back, what will happen? You are delayed by 2 hours, which is a big problem. So you need to have enough backup of computers and hard drives and batteries. The last thing is taking all the shots needed. So basically we had a list for every cameraman. For example, you saw the music installation, the radio guys installing. So I had a list for each cameraman. He needed to get me all these shots. Otherwise, he's in big problem. So he understands that I need wide shot, medium shot, close-up of each of these things. And he kept going like a fly till he gets these shots. So each of the 5 cameramen do that. So each has an exact list. I want you to film, for example, the owner of the mall. I want you to shoot the celebrity who is coming to the mall. I want you to shoot all the kids area side. So each one needs to be dedicated to something. Yeah. So I will show you another event. This is a horse endurance event that we shot in low light, also Canon C300 mostly, with zoom lenses because you don't have time to change for primes. So this is one of the most difficult endurance races around. A lot of people come from around the world to do it. the, let's say, 2 seasons of that type of show. Basically, this is a teaser for what's happening, so to wait for the episode. So the episode actually has the normal following the cars with a Jimmy Jib. You have all the preparations, people talking, interviews with people. But this type of thing is required nowadays. You have to document it in, like, let's say 1 minute. This is a 1 minute thing, but you saw a lot of things. You felt actually that, whoa, it's a lot of things happening. And it is real. You see hundreds of people, hundreds of cars fighting just to go next to there, because there is a track for cars and track for horses, and it's usually more cars than horses, and they start fighting sometimes. But it's nice to show all of these things, and you need a camera that is so good in low light sometimes to capture this type of moments, and so lightweight to move around. So we spoke about the classic type of documentaries, the corporate videos, the events, and now we will just pass by through the seminars or speeches. I'm sure most of you are aware how to shoot a seminar or a speech. Most probably the gentleman who asked me how do you go about post-production, it always starts while you are shooting, before even shooting. So for example, you need to name the cameras properly. So let's say if there are 3 cameras filming me over here, I need to name that this is the wide shot, wide 1, wide 2, close-up 1, and medium 1, okay? The other conference will have wide 2, close-up 2, medium 2, right? So in this way, even if the cars got mixed up, I can know by the name what is what. And again, as we said, because sometimes you might have a 1 week show, right? So you need to number 01, 02, 03 by the day. And again, using cameras with time code like the C300 or the XF705 can help us know exactly at what hour what happened. So by the time of it in the editing system, you can know that at 9 p.m., for example, 9 a.m., this seminar started. So it's useful. So at least we usually get 2 angles of every seminar or speech. Why? Because, for example, you need to change the battery. What are you going to do? You're going to switch off in the middle of the talk. Maybe I'm going to say, and now I will give you the most important advice. Thank you very much. And it's gone. So this type of thing, you need to think advanced. If you have a second camera, the second camera will capture that while you cut, change the battery, roll again, and so on. Okay, so we try to connect the wide camera to electricity. So most of the cameras from Canon, they come with a free device, that power device that can give you power directly to the camera. No need to buy it from a third party. So even if you go on for 6 hours or whatever, your camera is still going, and no need to change, at least for the wide angle shot. Okay, because let's say, God forbid, you lost the other 2 cameras, the wide shot, if it's shooting 4K, you can zoom in and take, and at least the client or your person who's receiving the video won't be angry that he lost everything, right? Like right now, if there is 1 camera on me, like this, I can zoom in up to here and here, the client won't say anything. But if there is just a close-up like this on me, he will be like, why is this guy just talking so closely to me? He looks freaky, and this type of thing. So, and also in the seminars and speeches, we usually tend to work on manual white balance, manual shutter, and manual exposure. Now, sometimes maybe the lazy filmmaker inside you is like, oh, this is so boring. I'm so much better than shooting a seminar. Boop, auto. Boop, auto exposure. No problem. The camera can handle it. And then you go to the edit, just because I moved from here to here, and I look green or yellow or whatever. So you need to think about it in advance. Now, we try, not all the time because it's costly, to have proper sound on each camera, meaning each camera will have a mic, like a shotgun mic, and a wireless mic on it, connected to the mixer over there, the gentleman, the sound guy, for example. He can have a full-on sound of what's happening, all the mics and everything, and a shotgun on each camera, and wireless that goes to each camera. Why? Because if sometimes when you go, you're like, oh, who needs a mic? We have the wide camera, it has the mic and everything is fine, right? You come to edit and you're like, camera B doesn't have audio. Good luck. Good luck finding where I'm talking. So it's usually like on the close-up and then on the wide, and we are back, we have proper sound. On the close, it takes hours to sync something without sound. So, another thing is you need to make sure you have enough memory space, and this is where it comes when we were talking about the Blackmagic and shooting RAW. How much do you need to shoot 5 hours of RAW, for example? How much do you need to shoot 6 hours of ProRes? So some cameras, they have the capability of giving you high quality in a small file size, which is important. This is, for example, the 405. This camera made me much more money than all the big cameras together, probably, because it kept working and working and working, and no problems. So what do you need? So for example, you need to have something between the 20 millimeter and 400 millimeter. So you're having enough wide angle up to close-up. Some cameras from other manufacturers, they make it like 20x or 30x, but they made the wide angle a little bit narrower. What does it mean? So for example, when you make a venue this big, you want to show that this room is full, right? So your client usually, can you take one wide angle shot for me from here, all of it? I want to see it. And if your camera can capture only this, then you're in big trouble. No matter how years of experience you have in filmmaking, no matter how good you studied Scorsese's films, you're still in big trouble. So also you need some cameras with continuous focus and zooming. Some cameras are lightweight and very simple interface, because sometimes you bring a very complicated big camera to a very simple shoot. You actually make your life much more difficult. So it's good to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so we spoke about classic documentary, corporate videos, events, seminars, speeches. Any question about seminars and speeches? Questions? Questions? No questions? Okay, so we talk about the last thing, which is the online content. Now, this is where most filmmakers need to concentrate on as well. It's a big industry, big demand, and there aren't a lot of people who are doing it very professionally. Okay, because most of the old generation, they're concentrating on feature films and feature documentaries or commercials, but nobody cares about small contents. So let's talk about online content. So this singer, she has around 12 or 13 million followers. She came to Dubai and she was at the New Year's Eve. So we need to make a 30-second or 1-minute video for her Instagram. So they don't like the fancy, very well edited stuff. They want it to look like someone was enjoying his event, but that looks nice. So basically this is what happens.
قوم قومي 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 رقصي وريهم جمالك يلا انت يا بنية قومي 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 يلا رقصي وريهم جمالك يلا انت يا بنية يوم قمتي ترقصين وش حالاتك يوم قمتي ترقصين تاج راس الكل بنت الدلعين تاج راس الكل بنت الدلعين وش حالاتك
can do it. This was all done by one guy. In one evening he was running around, but he's very fast. He's a marathon guy, so he trains he runs. So this is the type of online content some people are looking for, which is concert. Some of them are like brands like Piaget. Anyone familiar with Piaget? They are like they sell watches and jewelry and stuff like this. So they did an event. They invited Jessica Chastain and some other celebrities, and they wanted a quick video for Instagram, squarish, to do this type of stuff.
Time and again I tell you, you're fine. You see the sky and the sunshine, a dream together, perhaps.
So we did a couple of videos like this. So basically their concept was, I want to make a fairy tale evening. So these people got invited, there were entertainment, there is singing, there is dancing, there is an amazing 5-course meal. And then at the end of it, the table opens up and there is like a swimming pool in the table, and you start fishing and there are some stuff that you start fishing it, and then you open it, and there is a gift, which is a gold or whatever, some cool stuff. So they wanted to show you how luxurious their thing is, and how you missed it. Like whatever who watched it, like, oh, you missed Jessica Chastain and all these cool stuff. So we do a lot, and this is the second or the third year we're doing this stuff, the shooting for them as well. And there is other brands similar to this. Any question related to online videos up to now? Can we have the mic over here? Anyone? Is this working? Thank you, sir.
My name is Were. I'm a documentary filmmaker. As of now, I'm making a travelogue.
Nice.
For online.
Nice.
Especially Instagram. It's called My Ethio Travelogue.
My
Ethio.
Okay.
It's Ethiopia travelogue.
I get you. Yeah.
And I'm having a challenge when it comes to uploading several 1-minute videos on the same page, on the same slot, because once you upload the second one, apparently it squeezes the frame, the size of the film.
Yes.
It's really difficult because I want to put all the 10 in one place at the same time for continuity purposes, because I have lots and lots of footage. So I'd rather, squeeze in all of them together, 10 of them. But now the first one fits in, the second one kind of, is a bit squeezed. How do you go about it? And what is the whole essence of a documentary series on Instagram? Because mostly people use Instagram to advertise their vlogs on YouTube. Yes.
So first of all, you made a very valid point, which is, one, if you want to have videos longer than 3 minutes, Instagram is not your platform. So Instagram is for you to move while you're skipping to what your cousin ate for breakfast today, where your friend was drunk the night before, and who attended what. You want it to see a little bit interesting. So Instagram, they say it's all about positivity. Everybody looks good. Everybody is like, positive power. So if your video has actually a longer kind of story rhythm to it, people are not gonna watch it, one. Two, it's not a perfect place to put longer videos, because it's super annoying to know where you are and how to skip between one to another. Because if you put let's say a 6-minute video or whatever and divide it into multiple pieces, you really don't know where you've reached. And also your viewers, after the third next, there is an arrow and you press and you watch the second video. After the third one, they're like, this Ethiopia blog is going to forever, and they will switch to the second thing. You know what I mean? So if you want for that, the best thing is make your episode on YouTube, your full episode, 5 minutes to 7 minutes. Okay, unless you are making the best, amazing, funniest stuff, crazy stuff you're doing, then you can make a longer episode. But usually 3 to 7 minutes is what usual people, their mindset are programmed to. So in that case, you take the best moments and you make a 30 seconds to a 59-second video of what's happening. And then you get the viewer, because he's interested, and you put the link is in the bio, and then he goes to watch it on your YouTube channel. This is where you get your viewers. Much better than being stuck on a platform that is not meant for what you want to show. Good answer, kind of?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Anyone else? Instagram, should I move on? Move on. People are like, it's taking forever. So we have some doctors, for example, they wanted to do some community service. They wanted to talk about some medical issues. They wanted to talk about different subjects, and they didn't know how. So we started helping them on a budget. So usually either a DSLR or a little bit bigger camera. So this is the type of shows that some doctors wanted. So
الموسم الثاني من برنامج صحتك، مواضيع جدا جريئة. نركز على الثقافة الجنسية بين الزوجين. ما في شيء اسمه عيب. همنا الأول والأخير نبني أسرة صحيحة. الأسرة مبدأ لإنتاج الأجيال.
So maybe you have like some type of doctor or philosopher or a priest or someone who wants to say something really nice, right? So you start filming him in a nice way with a DSLR or with a C-series camera, and you make multiple cuts, you make nice music, and you make nice some animation. And then maybe that guy can help other people get better, whether he's into medicine or healing or psychology or maybe just religious. So if you want to help them out, you can do your documentary skills with these people as well. So basically this is the basic setup for it. Sometimes we use this type of small camera or a DSLR with a basic light, and sometimes we use a little bit more advanced with a camera. Now some doctors or people have bigger budgets, so we might use two cameras. Sometimes even if you don't have bigger cameras, it's nice to have two small cameras, better than nothing. It will help you out. It will make the cut much nicer and much more interesting. Anything towards this type of shooting? Anyone sees himself using this type of techniques for shooting? No? Maybe? Yes? Okay. So this now, some brands approached us and approached some production companies to shoot some campaign that looks like a nice, cool Instagram video, but it's actually a commercial, but in a kind of a cool way. These are the feed videos that come in between you to seeing your friends and your ex-girlfriend, what she's doing and all the other stuff, and your Instagram. So this comes in between. So a lot of brands usually ask you for something like this, that there is a influencer type of thing or someone who's famous in that city, and they want to show some type of clothing items, maybe some type of shoes, maybe some type of a car or equipment or whatever that they want to advertise. And they use them as a kind of a celebrity to deliver that message. So this type of video is all around, and it's always in demand. Yes, there is no story, but for 15 seconds you just want to see something positive with some positive music and something nice in between. So this is, we shot for Vice. Vice wanted to do this cooking show in a not let's say documentary, but documentary reality type of a thing. They hated the normal way of doing a cooking show, and they wanted it more raw and more whatever. So we found a book, the producer found a book about cooking in Arabic, and it's 1,000 years old. So they started making recipes from that book, which is super funny because it's written in old classic Arabic, and they were trying to...
سأسألك سؤال، هل الوصفة ما فيها مقادير يا جماعة؟
ما فيها.
بس يعني يلا
وحطوا قطوا قاعد
نعرف نحن لا مقادير ولا شيء بس يلا.
So these are recipes from 1,000 years, the oldest book, Arabic book for chefs.
الكتاب حد قديم يعني غبار بيطلع منه. شلون اللي الحين عندهم الكتاب؟
أنا أحس الجن كتبوها.
نص الكلام ما فهمته بس يعني بنشوف شو يصير. فشنو طبخة اليوم؟
دينارية.
صنعتها أن يقطع اللحم السمين قطع صغيرة رقاقا. زين فات وبعدين نحتاج أول شيء نبتدي به. زين فهاي لازم نقطع قطع صغيرة.
So they started saying lots.
شو رأيكم في هذا القطعة يا جماعة؟
زين يلقى عليه وزن درهم ملح وكزبرة يابسة مدقوقة ناعما.
Some of them were actually pretty good.
بندق الكزبرة.
كزبرة ولا كزبرة؟
كزبرة.
كلش جلست تطبخي شيء كذا قبل؟
الصراحة ولا قط. أول مرة أشوف صالونة فيها بيض وشحم
Anyways, this is a more modern type of a show. So basically most cooking shows are still following the same format, which is 1 hour full-on cooking show to make 1 or 2 meals. Now, yes, back in the day, some people bored in the house, they just keep it on the TV. But now people are not very interested, so we changed the rhythm. So now the show was sponsored by a brand that makes rice. And this rice is the whole concept of the show. They want to put one meal that included rice in each episode. Each episode is around 15 to 20 minutes, which is very quick. And it's all intense. I will show you. This clip is only 1 minute, but it will feel like it's a 5-minute clip.
اليوم وصلنا للمسابقة الثالثة. تحدي اليوم هو يكون انكم تحضروا لنا طبق دجاج محشي. معاكم لتحضير هذا الطبق ساعة ونص حتبدأ الآن.
حسيت انه انا مرتاحة شوي من شفت الدجاج اقدر اتعامل معه. متى بدت البانيك اتاك؟ لما دريت انها هولد تشيكن.
الدجاج الصغير كان مفاجأة بالنسبة لي، انا ما توقعت.
اوه ماي جاد، الله يستر. مجرد الفكرة انه حط جبنة يعني لبكة. الخليط حق بيتي كروكر، بس مطلوب منكم تسووا فيه اي نوع حلا تبغوه. 3 2 1 وارفعوا يديكم. But I think by now we have a clear idea of who's winning. الفائز في تحدي اليوم.
So this is what we were talking about, the Instagram videos. This is a 1-minute thing, so they can put it on Instagram. And then it says on the top, please follow the episode on YouTube. So for you, only for you. Not for you only. So now I will show you this, for example, is kind of a commercial that is discovered through kind of a documentary. So basically this lady is afraid of heights. Okay, so Samsung came up with this device, you know, these goggles with the phone that you can put it in front of you and you can feel that you are in somewhere, like inside a cave or all these things. So Samsung developed this app that can help you fight any type of problems, probably like heights, or if you are afraid of speaking in front of people or swimming or going in an elevator for high. So they have an app where Samsung, and they wanted to make it kind of documentary, but it's actually an ad.
I always loved aerial dancing. I feel like it's such a great way to express yourself, and I feel like it's the closest thing to flying, but I'm frightened of heights. I absolutely love dancing and performing. So we have a performance coming up, and one of the rules is to do with silk dance. So my friend from Dance Rehearsal has told me about the Be Fearless campaign by Samsung. Look at the view below. I'm in the air. I definitely feel like there's something inside me that can get over that fear. I know I have a very strong mentality, but I just need that extra push. And I know Samsung is giving me that extra training that I need with the Gear VR. Good. Overcoming fear is a lot like learning a dance move. You just have to let it go and just go with the flow. And I think once I do that, I feel like I can conquer the world.
So this is the type of the commercials that people are looking for. They're not looking for the very well polished and stuff. They want it to feel a little bit more raw, more energetic. So this is the type of commercials that you, as generation here in Kenya, you can start doing it. So you can start doing something similar for brands that you know that are good, all right? But they don't know how to market it. Maybe they make this special soap or this special device or this special machine. And they have the money, but they don't know. So you need to come up with a concept and show them something similar, and then you shoot something in this kind of format. This is very in demand nowadays. So I will show you now, this is one of my favorite documentaries, also shot on the old C300 Mark I. So most of the stuff that you show is shot by me or my colleague or one of our friends or our company. But this is shot internationally with the C300 Mark I and basic zoom lenses, not even something cool. Please, I hope you like it.
There's an imaginary line out there between right and wrong, good and evil. I believe what I am doing is good, and what I'm standing up against is evil.
Somos los cocineros de metanfetamina. Claro que hacemos daño, lo sabemos.
It's the cartels They're the ones terrorizing their own country, and now they're starting to do it over here.
¿Qué harías tú? ¿Esperar que vinieran por ti o defenderte? Y ármense, únanse.
The cartel scouts keep getting away.
El gobierno no proporciona las garantías de seguridad que el pueblo necesita. Nos podemos armar.
Si a ustedes les pasara lo que nos pasó a nosotros, estuvieran con nosotros.
They're taking back what is theirs from the cartel. This way it should be done up here too. Anybody touches me, drop them. You sabi?
Hay una ley que se llama ojo por ojo y diente por diente. Fíjense para atrás. No nos vamos a convertir en los criminales que andamos combatiendo. ¿Con quién trabajas? Con the lucky ones. Ustedes lo están viendo es porque yo ya dejé de existir.
This is with the C300 Mark I, which is way outdated kind of for nowadays. We have much better cameras. So basically, some people say, oh, the documentary can't look good. But you saw this is like under fire and between gangs and at night and whatever, and still they managed to make it look really nice, very cinematic, with using basic tools, just like 2 C300s, 2 zoom lenses, and a couple of enough batteries and memory cards, and that's it. They went on, and of course microphone for people, but you saw, for example, when they were shooting on the car, and the guy is actually holding the camera in his lap. That's how they travel. It's not like the old school of shooting, oh, I need 3 cars and I need to put all baggage inside. It's just like this. Even in a lot of places we were traveling like this, carrying our camera ready, poop, on and shoot. There is no time for all these preparations. So I hope you liked it. So basically, there was a sentence down there all the time. It says a documentary has been described as a filmmaking practice or a cinematic tradition and a mode of audience reception that is continually evolving and is without clear boundaries. So as you saw now, all the development that happened with different types, with all the new 5 types of documentary, that it doesn't mean that the documentary needs to be about cows or about a tiger all the time. It's all about tigers. I don't know why a lot of documentaries about tigers. But in general, you can make a story about anything around you, whether it's a product or a cause you want to defend or someone you want to protect. You can do a lot of things just by a small camera. So start small, and step by step you can go for bigger stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for not sleeping at my seminar. It's been a little bit of long, 2 hours or 1 hour and 50 minutes. Thank you very much. If you have any questions for...
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
And it's about the new kind of way in which documentary filmmakers are coming up on how to approach subjects. I was reading the other day, Forbes have identified that very many filmmakers are going into impact documentaries. However much it's an observational feature film or even a corporate film, they are humanizing the corporates to be human. And how much can they do for their clients, or how much can they do for their audience to generate impact, to generate like there's a filmmaker called Wanja. She has a documentary film called Thank You for Rain, which ended up building a dam for the residents of the area, So that's one example. Would you consider that that's the way forward? That, you know, documentaries, apart from being NGO oriented, that you also have to figure out the other side where it has to be entertaining, but also has to replicate on the society or on the subject that it's been filmed for.
Now, there is a small misconception usually around filmmakers, especially in the documentary category. People think we're like angels. At the end of the day, you need to work, you need to make money, you need to make a living, right? So even doctors, they do some free consultations and they do some free surgeries, right? A lot of doctors do free stuff. But at the same time, they need to be doctors in a clinic as well, right? So the same thing for you as a filmmaker. Yes, it's nice to do one film. Like if you did one film that made an impact a year, that is more than enough. The rest is just make it for making food on the table and covering for the expenses of your living, family living, and all of these things, correct? But if you just look at it that every film that I need to do need to have a huge impact, then you will get either broke or very frustrated, correct? There is a fine line. So let's say you can do a lot of commercial stuff or NGOs or for corporates or for governments and stuff like this. At the same time, you use that knowledge and power that you have to make that, if you did one documentary a year that made an impact, you're a lucky man. During your career, you would have made 40 good causes, which is really high, correct? But if you keep thinking like, no, every film that I need to make or show needs to be humanitarian for humans and all of these things, you will fall down because you won't have the budget. No one will support you most of the time, correct? At the end of, you will start begging for bigger organizations, the same one that you refuse to give corporate videos for. You will tell them, oh, would you pay $10,000 to support my cause? No, it's better to go give them a corporate video for that amount, live off it, part of it, and use the rest to make a film that makes an impact. As I told you, for example, we just finished a film about people with disabilities, okay? So in the United Arab Emirates, now they're pushing whoever has a disability, disabled people, and they changed their name into determined people. So just to not make it so negative when you say, oh, he's disabled, he's determined. It sounds nicer, right? So now they're giving them workshops and courses on how to integrate anyone with determination to be as part of the community. And that was the only film that I made in the past, whatever, 6 months, 8 months, that I felt, oh, feel good about myself, kind of, you know? This is the type of stuff that you look forward to.
I have an example.
Yeah.
Like one of our telecommunications service providers, Safaricom, sorry if anyone's from Safaricom, they know that they are the highest, they generate the highest profits. And they know that, you know, but they know also that they are most hated in terms of how their approaches, you know. So they have decided, instead of bombarding us with all these advertisements, they'll come down to the impressionism, like how would you relate to Safaricom if they tell you about your country, your people, and what they've been doing and how far they've come to achieve what they want to achieve. So that's the question I was asking. Is it about style? Is it about how to humanize a subject to be able to connect to the heart more than to the mind?
Now, it's both sides. Like one, yes, I agree with you, whatever the telecom company you're talking about, I don't know their practices, but most telecom companies in all around the world, they're kind of not so nice. Whatever, even if they give you the best service, cheapest prices, at some point you will hate them, right? For whatever. Oh, they disconnected my line. Oh, I didn't have internet at 2 a.m. in the morning. So that type of thing. So what is better? That you didn't have these videos about your country before, or that they tried and they made something, right? Like they made at least a positive move. Like, yes, I understand there is this gentleman, for example, is evil, right? But he's trying to make corporates. We have also telecommunication companies. We worked with them, and they wanted to do a huge gift for at Mother's Day. So at Mother's Day, whoever went into the taxi or Uber, they had a box that has a phone with credit inside it, okay? And that you are allowed to go to your country for your mom back home to speak with her. And it was a very nice and successful campaign. Did it change the world? No. Did it change 5 people's lives, for example? Yes. And maybe a couple of people who watched it, they called their mom and which is nice. Did it make more money for the telecom company? Definitely. It made so much money by all day phone calls. But still, does it mean that it's horrible? We should not encourage it?
Yeah, that's a good. So your phone is on, it is live streaming.
I used to also sometimes.
So go to your Facebook page in the Opera.
That's not how life works, right? Right, or am I just going to
and go to click on the Opera,
all my videos will be just ethical,
reload it,
and good for you. Reload it, for example, fresh about your travel. Let's say if a good brand, I'm not saying the worst type of sugar making company gave you that drink and you're not tasty and you accepted it. Let's say there is a good brand that is making vitamin C drink, for example, and they supported you and all the blood and one cell so to drink one of the vitamin C, which is good. Would you do it or not? Exactly, that's what I mean. So if you believe that this is improving your filmmaking skills and this is making you have a better chance to change people's lives long term, just do it. Yes, as I told you, doctors, which are supposed to swear that they will protect humanity and all of these things, they're charging so much money.
To enable it again.
But if they didn't charge that much, they wouldn't be able to have a month off.
Let's give it a few seconds.
Right? So that's why we have the
click, okay.
So remove it. I wanted to know, how do you know what you charge the client? This will take a little bit to explain. Is anyone interested also for the charging? For charging money? So, basically, first thing first, as a filmmaker, any filmmaker, whether you're a shooter, director, scriptwriter, anytime, and I also encourage it for other types of work, you bring a piece of paper, alright? You start writing down all your expenses. So if you have rented a house, you put your rental of your house, and then you put, for example, you have equipment. People think, if I bought this camera, I don't need to charge for it because I have it. Maybe you will break it on the shoot. You need a replacement, so you need money for it, correct? So you put your equipment, put your car registration, insurance, petrol, maintenance, alright? So you put all this stuff that you need to run a business. So far so good, even if you are one individual freelancer or 2 or 3. You put all of your expenses, so far so good, and then usually how many days per month do you work as a freelancer? Roughly 15 freelance a month. Roughly you work, as a freelancer filmmaker. 14 days between edit and shoot.
Because it's live streaming.
14.
Okay. And your phone is dying.
Okay.
Your battery.
20 days. So you calculate this, and then you calculate how much you need to be making by a little bit less than what you usually work. Because sometimes you have an injury, your back hurts, your knee hurts, shoot, you have a cold. So you put it, let's say, from 10 days to 12 days, and you divide and you see how much. Bill, my car, my equipment, lenses, I divided. For equipment, we usually charge, you divide the price, let's say your camera is $1,000, okay? You charge for it $20 per day. Fair? Fair enough? Fair, right? If you break it, if the client wants, he can buy it if he wants, and then he won't need to pay. So you divide by 100 almost, anywhere between 50 to 100 for the price of each equipment, and this is the daily rate for it. Okay? So if usually as a filmmaker you need a camera, a couple of lenses, tripod, big monitor maybe 2 cameras, slider, whatever, you put that on that piece of paper. Good? Let's say it became as $3,000. Okay? You divide it by the days, how many days you need to work. So then let's say you need to make $100 per day. All right? This is the minimum you need to do. You add your profit. If you have a license for a company or all of these things and you have months that you are not working, maybe it's winter or summer, it's dead season, so you start putting a 20 to 25% profit on top of that. And this is your rate to operate as a freelancer. All right? Now, if the days of work you are doing are less than the 10 and 15, or you're starting out recently, you need to cut your expenses. So instead of having two phone lines from Safaricom, have one only, and you cut on the phone, you cut on the, you have a smaller apartment, you have a cheaper car, cheaper camera. No need to buy the flashiest, the most expensive camera if you're starting out. So then, till you reach to a point where working 10 days cover you up for a month and 1 week. All right? From there you start. This is your, we call it survival rate. All right? Now, you start asking around. You become friends with some clients. The cool thing is, after a while, if you did 2 good jobs for a client, he's like, you know what, I don't want to call whatever, Tom or Dave or whatever, because I like you more, all right? So you end up with that client, and he tells you, oh, by the way, your price is a little bit more than the competition. I asked 3 other people, their work is similar to your work, they're charging $1,000 and you want me to pay $2,000. So you think of a little bit, if your survival rate is actually very comfortable, and you look at the job and he's offered 3 quotations for $1,000 while you want to charge 2, then you are overpricing, like you are overcharging, correct? So you start roaming around. Now, on top of that, usually there are some communities. Let's say if you are a shooter, whether director or shooter or producer, there are a couple of communities you start becoming friends. Like this kind of event is amazing for connecting with people. So you connect with different shooters. Hey, how are you? Do you want us to shoot some stuff together? Can we collaborate on this? Let's do this, let's do that. So you start asking each other, oh, how much do you charge for this, for a small corporate video, for an event coverage? This event is 8 hours, how much do you charge? So at some point you reach to a good point. And most filmmakers are very honest about their stuff. They don't care. At the end of the day, that's what I'm making, that's how much I want to charge. You know what I mean? So you end up putting that on that piece of paper, putting what type of profit you're getting, comparing yourself with the market. Don't undercut most people, because some people say, oh, they do the event for $100, I'll do it for $40. But on the long term, you need 35 days a month for $40 event to cover up, and you will fall down. You will burn yourself. You're selling yourself for cheap. So far, good? Good answer? Any other questions? Here, can we have the... Ah, here, this is working? Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. My name is Samuel Masako. I'm from the MultiChoice Talent Factory. Okay. And I'm very passionate about online content, nice. Making the corporate videos, you know. But like in our country, there's like a cartel, you know, for advertising. If you don't go, yeah.
Everywhere, not here only.
So as a beginner, I wouldn't consider myself a rookie, but as a beginner, you know, maybe some tips on how you could break the barriers, you know, how you could connect with these corporates, you know, how you could make them see you as a professional, you know. Maybe if you could share something about that.
So basically the problem is now with a lot that because the cameras are cheaper and the education is almost for free on YouTube, for example, or workshops. It doesn't mean that the experience of filmmaking is for cheap or that it comes quickly. You know what I mean? So, for example, yes, all over the world, it's always managed by agencies and big production companies and stuff. And because they've been doing it for a long time and they're professional at it, we need to respect that kind of aspect. So the best way for you as a beginner is not to go out, open a company, buy all the cameras and say, yeah, I'm a producer, director, shooter, editor, all the stuff that you need. Why? Because one, you did not know how to deal with a client professionally yet, correct? You didn't have all the experience of dealing, the paperwork, how the attitude, how to talk, when to tell the client, no, this is not part of my job, no, this needs to be more money, no, okay, I will do it. So all of these politics actually take a couple of years. So the best way is you go and you work under one of these cartels. You have to, because at the end of the day, it's like paying them respect by working with them. Now what happens when you work with them as a junior position, you start learning step by step. And most of these companies are actually good at the end, because at the beginning you think, oh, I can do everything. But then you realize, oh, I think there are people who are better than me in this. Or I need another 3 years to become good at this or that. You know what I mean? So with time, you start becoming good at one special aspect, which is, for example, editing or color grading or shooting or audio or VFX, right? Till you become an expert in that, then you can leave that company and start your own or start your own business. But if you start immediately, you are not on a sturdy ground. You get me? I'm not saying not everybody should, but give some time to learn about the market, to learn about the industry, to learn about the clients, to learn about talking with clients, and then you leave that cartel and you start working for your own.
But at times they're not hiring people, maybe. They don't want to hire. So I have the skills. I can color grade, can edit. So why don't I just go and pitch my creative idea to them directly?
That's what I'm telling you. Basically, it's not about the skill of just shooting. It's about the skill of dealing with people. So usually you don't gain that, or you don't have it immediately after you graduate from school, right? Am I right? Mostly it takes a couple of years to develop. So when you are inside these agencies, production houses, film services, or rental houses, you learn the craft from the scratch. And it's the way how it's done even in the US or the UK. The US, UK, you finish your school, you go and you work as an intern. So basically you work 1 to 3 months with that company with barely minimum payment. As an intern, you're learning, all right? Now, the good thing, in this 1 to 3 months, if you can prove to them what you told me, that you have the skills, you have the abilities, I'm an amazing editor. If in 3 months you were able to convince them that you can edit, they will take you as a junior editor or a junior assistant editor, all right? With that, you have the first step. You earn the respect of the industry. So far, so good. I know it's annoying at the beginning, but trust me, it's a very good way. Now, with time, you start getting upgraded. Within a year or two, if you are really as good as you are saying, they won't let you go. Because think about it. If I come as a company and I have, let's say, what's your good name? Rahim. I have Rahim, and Rahim is generating so much money for me by being a fast editor or a fast shooter or a fast producer, right? Do you think I will let him go? You will keep paying him. So you get that money. With time, you start building for your own small empire. After you put yourself a 5-year, 10-year commitment, after the 5-year, 10-year, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, and trust me, you're much, much better than you were 5 years before, and boom, then you can start your own thing. Because you have contacts, you have good relationships with people, you know how to deal with people, and you know the business aspect of it. Most of the filmmakers have the issue of that they know the artistic value, but they're so bad in business. They're like, oh, I'll make a documentary. How much does it cost to shoot for 3 days? I don't know, but I'll make it. But then it means you still need some time to learn. Kind of. Convinced? Kind of. He's like, no, I want to do my own. Cool. It's a good way. A lot of people also started this way. It happens. But then you need to have enough money to sustain 2 years without any income. If you have that from whatever job you had before, or from your family, whatever, then it's good, do it. But other than that, you are putting so much risk of you not learning, one, and of you not obtaining a bigger business with someone else. Any other question? If anyone wants to leave, this is the last slide. I don't want to keep everyone going, so if you want, I can keep answering questions without feeling guilty that I'm making everyone going.
Access to the slides, or is it copyrighted material?
It's because I use it for a lot of workshops, I can distribute it, because some of it is material I cannot show outside, and some of it is written by me. So if I give it outside, I cannot do the workshop one more time. Apologies for that. Any more questions? No? Zero? So I leave you all go in peace without boring you for more time. Thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it and benefited.